Good morning, my fellow Michiganders. Good morning, my fellow Americans. I am extremely honored to have Congressman Tim Walberg on the show this morning to kind of open up and explain exactly what's going on behind the scenes right now. So without further ado, welcome to the show, sir.
Good morning, Garrett. I guess we ought to, in our party, and some people say you guys ought to get along. Well, yes, we ought to get along toward the end game. But the beauty of our party, and even more than that, our philosophy, is that we're independent thinkers, and we're willing to debate if we're willing to debate. And that's why what you're saying and what I'm saying, I hope that as we don't agree on everything within the party, and nobody understands, for instance, in Berrien County, they don't understand Monroe County, or Hillsdale County doesn't understand Calhoun County as well as people living there. And I represent all of that and have to mix and match at times to represent them to the best of my ability, the majority of people, within the confines of the Constitution that I've taken an oath of office to uphold. That's a work in progress every day. But in the end, if we ultimately realize that we understand it better than the other side, our vision of America is closer to that of the founding principles than their side. Our conservatism is very different than their socialism. And we can't go their way, so we have to hang together. Keep the feet to the fire. We're joining together and stopping the infighting within the Republican Party and within the conservative independents that are out there as well. An understanding that this is a war for the future of our country, to be a country that was designed for liberty and justice and nothing else. That's what we had. We can't even put a resolution of support for Israel on the floor of the House because we don't have a speaker. That's a problem. If we can't continue to move the remaining 30% of our spending package through, that's a problem. There's money there, the normal expenditures that would help Israel. And yet Chuck Schumer's holding it up. If we don't have a House organized with a speaker put together to go to Chuck and say, listen, we've done what we're supposed to do. We're not taking your omnibus. We've given the plan. If you really say, Leader Schumer, that you're behind Israel, and you ought to be, because you're Jewish, then get it done. And that's where we're at. Came to the conclusion that he was not going to get the 217 votes. He was getting closer, but there are some hard nuts out there that were unwilling to move for whatever reason. And we had long family discussions about that. He had discussions in his office for a significant amount of time, and ultimately, for the good of the conference and good of the country, he said, I am going to step aside. He'll stay as the majority leader, but not be speaker. And so that left Jim Jordan as the only other of the two that put their names forward. I think we had two great people and two true conservatives as well, somewhat different in their approach. Steve, as the whip, minority and majority whip, and then leader of the majority, had that aspect to him. Jim, there's no better guy for doing interrogations, running the Judiciary Committee, making the Biden family squirm, and all of the rest. He's a good leader, led his committee well.